He'd been working on the kitchen for a week now. Everything was going according to plan, and by the upcoming week, they would have a new kitchen to cook their meals in. But when he dragged the cabinet aside to fix it, he noticed a peculiar handle on the wall. Although everything within him warned him not to get close to it, he couldn't help but pull the handle. But hey, before we dive into the story, do yourself a favor and pause the video right now. Go hit that like button, and let's see if we can make this video reach 1,000 likes. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to your favorite story channel. Also, make sure to ring the notification bell so you never miss out on the latest and weirdest stories. Trust us, you won't want to miss what's coming your way. Now sit back, relax, and prepare to be amazed as we take you on an unforgettable ride. Don't forget to engage with us in the comments below. We love hearing from you. Without further ado, let's dive right in. What he and his wife found made them step back. Melissa moved into their new home a few months after getting married, looking to spend the rest of their lives together. They had searched down a beautiful 2-bedroom fixer-upper house in Houston, Texas. The young couple spent their first year turning the house into their dream home. Everything was going according to plan until they got to fixing the kitchen. Jack and Melissa's house was more than half a century old. Despite its age, the house was among the prettiest in the neighborhood. Its previous owners had done a remarkable job keeping it in good shape. The fixes Jack and Melissa did on the house were necessary. For one, they wanted to make their home baby-friendly, as they were expecting their firstborn soon. They had no clue how much the renovation would impact their lives. Jack spent a better part of his teenage years and early adulthood as a handyman. As such, he did most of the renovations by himself, which Melissa told him was very cute. The rest of the house was as beautiful as Jack and Melissa envisioned. If the kitchen's renovation mirrored the other rooms, the couple would have the home they dreamed of. Jack took his mallet and set to carving in the kitchen's parts that they didn't need. He redid the tiles, cupboards, counters, and island. Standing firmly against the wall was a broken antique mahogany cabinet that had been among the items that made Jack and Melissa fall in love with this house. Jack couldn't destroy it. He dragged it away from the wall to figure out how to fix it. Then he saw what was hiding behind it. Once Jack had moved the old cabinet away, he noticed something in its place. A circular notch on the floor. There was a handle on the item on the floor. It seemed like a giant plug built into the floorboard. But why? He pulled hard on the plug to reveal something that had been hidden for a long time. When Jack pulled on the metal ring that had been built into the floor, a square-shaped panel off the floorboards came away. He peered into the space and spotted a safe. Jack tugged the safe's handles, but it wouldn't budge. He took a step back, wondering why one of the previous families left the locked safe when they had moved out. Jack grew up reading fantasy books about entire worlds hidden behind cabinets and closets. What he was staring at was better than anything he'd ever read. Unfortunately, the safe was sealed shut. After trying to get it open by guessing the passcode and randomly turning the safe dial, he decided to try and open it by force. Jack rubbed a hand down his face as he studied the safe. He realized it was at least a decade old given its design and sharp paint loss. "Lisa!" he called out, and Melissa came running in. "What is it, honey?" she said. Jack pointed at the safe. Melissa's eyes widened. What she did next left Jack slack-jawed. Melissa stormed out of the kitchen, leaving Jack alone. He was about to rush after her when she returned with one of her bags in her hand. She rummaged through it, producing an old poker card. "What is that?" Jack asked with a quizzical look. "I'm not sure," Melissa answered with a broad smile plastered on her face. She waved the card before Jack's eyes and said, "This day has given me sleepless nights." She turned the card over and Jack saw what she was referring to. 26525 Jack Rabba. The final number spun into the card's back, Melissa and her demon of the safe. They were about to give up when something inside the metal door clicked. "I found the card while we were doing the main bedroom," she chirped. It was behind the old medicine cabinet as a safe that had been set into the floor slid open. Jack held Melissa's back. There was no telling what secret hid inside this safe for all these years. What could be so important that it needed to be protected and hidden from everyone? Well, Jack couldn't wait another minute to find out. "Water!" he exclaimed, perplexed. What was this? Jack was perplexed to find an inch of old standing water at the bottom of the safe. Then he suddenly remembered that the realtor had told him that a pipe had burst in the house many years before. Water from the burst pipe must have flooded into the safe, but thankfully it didn't seem to have damaged what lay inside it. Jack pulled out a plastic bag and rummaged through it, revealing an entire time capsule. One of the first things he found was a coin book from 1937. The outside of the book was damaged, but thankfully the layers had protected the coin inside. The water, in fact, had left them almost in pristine condition. The old coin book wasn't all that was left in the safe. Jack soon discovered a variety of coins that had been dumped into the back, along with a collection of water-damaged dollar bills. Although many of the coins were standard issue versions, many pieces in the collection were rare coins. It turned out that even the standard finds could still have a high collector's value. The safe revealed more of its secrets to Jack and Melissa. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. There were stacks of dollar bills and a bottle of 1959 bourbon. Time seemed to stand still as the couple stared at this strange item. Then Melissa moved her hand to reach into the back, but Jack stopped her, putting his hands on Melissa's arm. Jack yelled, "Don't! It might be booby-trapped!" Startled, it took Melissa a few seconds to realize that Jack was joking. They both laughed for a few seconds. Then Melissa noticed something else, and they both fell silent. She reached in and picked it up and turned it around in her hands. The item in the bag in the safe that had piqued Melissa's interest the most was a tattered, slightly water-damaged novel published in the 60s. The hardcover book was aptly titled A Guide for the Perplexed. Melissa flipped through it, her brow furrowing at what hid inside the pages. Melissa pulled a map of Houston from the novel. The map was old, at least in color. It had an X marked on one of its many neighborhoods. As Melissa studied it, Jack realized that the map wasn't the only thing marked. He took the book from her, seeing that a few folded pages had paragraphs underlined in pencil. What was going on in here? An old photo was wedged between the last few pages of the book. As Jack took it from Melissa, it spilled out onto the floor along with a few other pieces of paper. On the back of the photo was a note. Jack read it aloud. "Alan, I have a book you must read. I've underlined a few key passages. Your friend, Vincent." The more Jack and Melissa studied the enigma before them, the more interested it got. They found more old photos of a family inside the novel, along with something that looked like a bookmark. The bookmark had codes from the book penciled in that seemingly hinted at a treasure hidden nearby somewhere in the city. The underlined passage of the chapter in the book titled On Philosophical Maps read, "One way of looking at the world as a whole is by means of a map, that is to say, some sort of plan or outline that shows where various things are to be found." Another black and white photo of an old house was placed right underneath another passage that read, "There yielded such fruitful results." On the back of the old photo, the words, "Where one tree becomes three," were written in pen. Melissa and Jack were incredulous. Was any of this true? Or was someone playing a cruel trick on them? Whatever the truth was, they were determined to get to the bottom of it. Inside the book, there was an old bingo card that was red and yellow on the edges. 3 numbers on the card were circled in pen, 66, 3, and 54. It wasn't lost on the couple that the safe they had just opened also had a 5-digit passcode. Could this possibly be the combination of another safe? Jack fetched their laptop, joining Melissa at the kitchen table. Through Google Maps, they ascertained that the place marked with an X on the map was Hyde Park, Houston. But they had no way of knowing where the photo of the old house had been taken, which was obviously a vital clue. Then Melissa had an idea. Melissa scanned and uploaded the photo of the house, along with the other clues they had found in the book, and posted everything on Reddit. Surely there would be someone who would be able to identify the location of the old house, and maybe someone online could even decipher some of the other clues. Of course, as soon as Melissa made the post, the first question on everyone's mind was how much money was there in the safe. Melissa and Jack had counted the cash inside the safe and found out that they had a staggering $50,000 in their possession. But there was one problem. The money left in the safe was too much for someone not to return for. The details in the novel and the map were also well thought out. What if the young couple used the money and landed themselves in big trouble? Jack decided to share his worry with Melissa. "Let's move the money to a safe deposit box," Melissa said. She pulled out another small note that had been wedged at the end of the novel. It read, "You're Alan. Glad you found this next batch. Hope it makes up for all those years I wasn't around. Please read the book I've left for you. Love, Richard." "There were a series of safes around the city, I think," Melissa added. "Let's keep it safe for him until Alan or some of his family members come looking around for it."